Let me.
Okay, wait. Let me just briefly introduce our speaker of the day. So today hey everyone, welcome to Rocket Academy Ask Me Anything, AMA. Today we are super lucky and excited to welcome Yangshun, who is a founder. He is currently the founder of GreatFrontEnd, which is a front-end interview resource, a front-end interview platform like LeetCode, but for front-end. And he was most recently, a staff engineer at Meta. He worked at Meta or Facebook for many years, where he worked on many of their projects from Meta.com, Oculus.com, Docusaurus, and many more, which he will share later. Before Meta, he was an engineer at Grab in Singapore. He's Singaporean. And he worked at a few places after studying computer science at NUS in Singapore. Yes, Yangshan has a lot of details about his personal journey in his presentation, so I will leave it to him to share a presentation about his journey as well as the things that he's learned along the way as a software engineer for the past several years. So, and after that, we'll have an AMA, we'll have a Q&A session, and I will share the Slido link for us to ask questions in the chat in a little bit. But before we do that, I'll hand it over to Yangshun to share more.
Okay, thanks, Kyron. So I'll be sharing my screen and I'll do a pretty short presentation about my journey and some of the things that I wish I knew when I started coding. Yeah, so hi, I'm Yangshun. I studied NUSCS from 2010 to 2015. Thereafter, I worked at Grab for 2 years, and I moved to Meta. And I spent the rest of my career there. And most recently, I left Meta to work on my company called GreatFrontEnd, which is a front-end upskilling platform. Yeah. So some of the projects I worked on would be, if you are from NUS, you will have seen NUS Mods, which is a timetable planner. I also wrote Interview Handbook, which is it's like a free version of cracking a coding interview, and also some open source projects like Docusaurus, which is a static site generator by Facebook. Yeah, so this one of the my open source projects that I'm most proud of because it's used by quite a lot of projects outside of Facebook and within Facebook as well. And I led the development of the V2, which was quite a huge architectural change where we moved from static generation to React SPA with static generation. Yeah, so one of the largest projects I led at Meta was the development of the Meta store, which became Meta.com. So it was very cool for a Singapore-based team to be leading development of the company homepage. Yeah, so on this website you can purchase the hardware devices like the Quest, used to be Portal and Ray-Ban Stories. Yeah, so when I was job hunting, I made some interview notes, and after the interviews, I organized them and published websites out of them. So, and these are the two handbooks that I created after my job hunt in 2017 before I joined Facebook. Yeah, and most recently, I'm working on GreatFrontEnd, which is the put it simply is a LeetCode for frontend, but there's more things lined up in the future. Yeah, so for today's sharing session, I will mostly be focusing on the early stages of my career and also student days. So because I believe most of you are either in the bootcamp right now or just graduated not long ago. So I would focus on like more junior level content so that is more relevant to you all. And also share some things I wish I knew when I first started out so that perhaps you can avoid the same situation as myself. Yeah, so sorry, university days. So not many people know because it's so long ago, but I was actually not from CS when I first entered university. I was in mechanical engineering, and I was all mechanical engineers had to take intro to programming class, which they teach you the basic constructs like for loop, variable functions, some recursion, pointers, etc. in C. So I had a very bad experience learning CS in in high school where I was from Hwa Chong, and I couldn't even close HTML tags. So when I knew that I had to learn programming in C, which was such a tough language at the time, I was quite frightened. But I went in an open mind and actually liked it a lot and did pretty well. So in the next semester of the second semester of my first year, I took a data structures and algorithms class in C++. So it was an extension of the basic programming, which I took in the first semester. And in the second year, I was invited to be a TA for that class. So interesting story was that the lecturer for this class for the data structures class, there were like weekly assessments, coding assessments, kind of like interviews, but without interview, where you had to solve a problem, go to a lab to solve a problem, and there were no practice questions provided for students. So I came up with a website. I came up with some questions inspired from daily life. From back then there was no lead code, so I looked at past year resources, and then all the students, they want to practice, so they came to my website. So I guess that was maybe the start of my resource sharing experience, where I made content for other people to help them improve in programming. Yeah, so I really enjoyed programming, and how I practiced my exams was to make ASCII games. So it's very primitive. There's no graphical user interface. You literally just print out the board after every turn. So I coded out like a River C and Connect 4 in C to practice my exams, because I felt that I understood all the concepts. I didn't really have to study all the lecture notes again. That's something great about CS, where if you understand, you don't really have to memorize anything. So I just practice by building games. Yeah. So at the end of year 2, Sem 1, I was faced with a tough decision whether to continue mechanical engineering, which I was like getting a bit bored of, because I joined mechanical engineering to build robots, to like make cars and stuff, but I ended up just doing a lot of theoretical stuff. At least in the year 2, but whereas for CS, you really got to build games, like these ASCII based games in the first semester. So, and I looked at, I was literally fantasizing about CS curriculum and how I can fit in, how I can rearrange my my classes so that I can take as many CS classes as possible. So then I was thinking, why not just change to CS? The problem was that I had a faculty scholarship, and I could have lost that scholarship if I switched faculties from engineering to computer science. But thankfully, the school let me keep my scholarship, and it worked out well for me. And I got the professor for my data structures class to write a recommendation for me. So that was kind of like the leap of faith I took. And back then, CS was a dumping ground. The pay was, I think, just average or on the lower end. So it's definitely not because of pay. I did it because I really liked it. Yeah. And so the first class I took when I first joined computer science was this iOS development class. I officially have only taken 2 classes before and I was like the year 2 Sem 2. And then I tried to take this class, because actually I later found out was one of the hardest classes that School of Computing had to offer. And it was started by this evil prof. He's not really evil, but he likes to call himself evil because he creates hard classes to torture students, but you learn a lot of it. Prof. Ben Leong. So it is iOS software engineering in Objective-C. It was a really tough class because I did not have any software engineering experience before taking this class. I only took programming in C, data structure in C++. It was not really enough. And this was an advanced software engineering class. So I had to catch up on my own. And but thankfully, I almost dropped out because there were some questions, there were some assignments that were super hard. I didn't manage to, I submitted late, but later on I caught up with the rest of the class. I made great friends from this class. And for a final project, we built a game for a restaurant. It was a cooking game where you could like cook. It was a izakaya, so they were serving yakitori was like Japanese skewers. So they wanted us to make a game where their customers could play a cooking mama sort of game, and if they cleared the levels, they got to redeem rewards. Yeah, so that was the first real software app that I developed for a client, and as a reward, we each got an iPad, and that was the first time I got paid for writing code, which was a awesome feeling. So in year 3, I went to Silicon Valley for an internship. So this is part of the AWS Overseas College program. It's a 1-year internship where you can intern with a Silicon Valley startup and also take some classes at Stanford. So I interned at this company called Edison. They were a productivity startup. They were aimed at like automating your life and making your email inbox great. So what I did during internships, I only had mobile dev experience prior to this internship because of the iOS class. So the first thing I went in was to do emails, which was quite a traumatic experience, because if you have written emails yourself before, email templates, you realize that CSS doesn't work there. You have to, at least in the past, this was in 2012, 2013, you had to use inline tables everywhere, inline styles and tables for layout, which was like super old school way of building websites. But that was the only way to get your email to look consistent across email clients. So I picked up some backend and some HTML. And I went for a lot of hackathons over there because as a poor student, and we're only getting paid like 2,000 a month. That was 10 years ago. So and during the weekends, a good way to get yourself fed and occupied is to go for a hackathon. So I frequently went for a hackathon with my friends. We just stay over at the hackathon venue, food's provided, we get to hack together, build something. Yeah, and so we won some stuff. We went for some paper hackathons. Well, I can't remember already. Yeah, just went with different people. It was kind of fun experience because I got to learn from my different friends who were all experienced in different areas. Some were like great in Node.js, some were great in backend, Android, etc. So what you learn at an internship, I'm not sure how many of you have done internship before, but it's quite different from doing like your own projects or school projects. So firstly, you have to go through the whole software development cycle. I inherited a legacy system, the email stuff, and they have to do migration. You almost never get to write code from scratch, or rather you wouldn't have a greenfield code base to work on. Yeah, so you ship to production, and with that comes the risk of breaking production. I definitely have broken some mobile applications before because I also did mobile afterwards, because I had experience there. I wanted to contribute to the mobile development side of things. Yeah, and you also work in teams. So I worked with designers, QAs. My boss was an engineer as well, and fellow interns. Yeah. So these are, in a nutshell, is what the differences between like internship and working on your own projects. So I also managed to go to WWDC. This was I sent an entry which was to make any iOS app. So I just created a simple iOS app about my background. I just put in some games that I built before in the iOS development class, and somehow got selected for WWDC, and it was a very amazing experience. So I would say, like, for engineers, if possible, being in the Bay Area is the best thing you can do for yourself, at least in the early days of your career, because the culture that you get to immerse yourself in the culture there, is where the global talent come together, and a lot of things are happening over there. Maybe not so much now because of remote work and people are like actually moving out of the Bay Area, but it's still a very cool place to be, and you can visit like Facebook Google campuses. Yeah, so after coming back from NOC, I was year 4, and that was my final year, and I actually have officially only taken like 5 CS classes. So I was the oldest inexperienced CS student, and I didn't have too many friends because I, wa- I didn't take the foundational CS classes with the rest of my batchmates, and so it was a little hard to make friends. So what I did was to take some take some project modules where I got to meet a lot of people rather than um, taking some studying heavy modules where you're just on your own the whole time. You just study. You can study, do tutorials, and take exams, and that's it. So I prioritize all the classes where I could could work with other people. Got to make a lot of friends. Like-minded people who like to work on projects together. Yeah, so that was also when I first started doing open source, and I went for hackathons as well. When I was back in Singapore, the same bunch of friends who were in Silicon Valley with me, we continued going for hackathons, and I also did some CS tutoring. So I think the best thing I did for myself when I came back was to work on open source stuff. Like I wanted to get into Google some of code. Uh, so I really studied how open source work. I contributed to a few repositories. There was this game called Code Combat. Uh, yeah, it was a game where you can like program your character to move around and do stuff using like JavaScript. Yeah, so I also built. I joined the NUS mods team, which is a timetable builder. Okay, wait, let me skip. Yeah, so NS Mods is a timetable builder used by the whole of NUS. Even right now, it's like the official timetable builder. So this was student-led project, and my friend Bing, he built this web version. I joined him, and I made it better. I added a lot of features, colored themes, etc. And I joined purely because it was an interesting project and had huge impact. But it was a super good learning experience for me because he had like a decade of experience even as a student, like doing web development. So he did freelancing stuff, etc. So his code was super great. I learned so much from working with him. And so this was taken at Facebook. I went for the Facebook Open Academy, which was supposedly Facebook's version of Google Summer of Code, where they got students all over the world to come and work on projects sponsored by organizations. So I worked on Mozilla. And so this was my mentor. He's a very senior Mozilla engineer. I learned a lot about front-end development by working with him. Yeah. So this is the NUS Mods team. I try to grow, try to work with people, and like these three, I think they were this Bing, and the rest were like year one students or year one, year two, very junior students. So I also tried to because I know that I wouldn't be around in school forever. I wanted people to like step up to take over the website in future. So in university, I would say my best teachers are these two entities. So firstly, Prof. Ben, he's created a lot of very tough software engineering classes, and by taking those classes, you learn a lot already. And he as a prof, he also teaches many classes, and I was his head tutor for some Python programming classes. And then my next university teacher would be GitHub. So it's not a person, but the platform itself. Because of the platform, I managed to learn uh, the code of so many different people. I read like jQuery source code, what else? Backbone source code. I got to collaborate with like developers from all over the world. We also built NUS mods on GitHub. Yeah, so I think GitHub is the best place to level out your coding because there is so much good code over there as long as you know where to look. Probably the top projects. And if you spend time reading the code and studying the project structure, see how things are designed. This is possibly even better than university education, what a software engineering class can teach you. Yeah, so after when I was about to graduate, I started job hunting. So it's very different. This was in 2015. It's very different from now, where students have already secured their job when they first started, when they just start their final year. I was just chilling. I didn't really, I didn't, I think I was still very occupied with doing like all the open source stuff and trying to graduate, trying to finish my thesis. That I didn't really prioritize job hunting. I only started after, okay, I started like towards the end of the semester, my final semester, but I actually only started interviewing for the company I joined, Grad, after my last exam. Yeah, so these are some of the places I applied. So I applied to Grad. After the semester ended, I thankfully got in. Honors B, I was offered Honors B because my teammate sort of from my iOS development class, Jonathan Low, he's a co-founder and VP of engineering at Honors B. So he just straight out offered me a job. So that was my fallback in case I didn't get into Grad. And for Google, I actually interviewed with them. Like I think in the middle of my final year, I totally flunked it. There were no preparation resources back then, so I really just went in without any preparation. And yeah, expected it didn't turn out well. Yeah, and for Vicky, I kind of got the last round, but I think they didn't offer me. Then later I found that it's because I was a bit wishy-washy about like, whether I wanted to join them, and they like I think they just blacklisted me or something. And for Facebook, I was in the process, but I kind of chickened out because I felt like I would have failed the interview anyway. So I think I would have, yeah, because they at the time they require you to write everything in vanilla JavaScript, and I don't think it was too strong in vanilla JavaScript back then. Yeah, so I ended up with Grad for 2 years. So you might be wondering what the difference between a CS degree and a bootcamp. Actually, I would say it's really depending on the individual. The main difference in a 4-year CS degree is that you cover more breadth, and then you are given the opportunity to go into depth of certain areas that it'd be hard to cover outside of a formal education situation. So strictly speaking, a 4-year degree, right, only probably the first 2 years are the main essentials. And I would say in your bootcamp, we have covered some stuff that some like most CS undergrads that have just finished their second year would not have covered, like web development. Some of them do have some web development experience now, but it's not in the CS curriculum. So they learn stuff like computer organization, operating system, networking, databases. These are like the level 2000 classes. And I would say it'd be good for you to fill in those gaps eventually. It's not super urgent. Honestly, I've forgotten most of it already. But it gives you it makes your CS education complete. And anything above that is like specialization level already, which and it really depends on the job you are on your job. If you're doing web development and the product level, just developing features for web application, you probably don't need to go beyond these foundational classes. And I guess another difference is the network in the human sense. So I got to make a lot of friends, and we got to work on projects together. But this can be compensated for through like working on open source or going for meetups. I mean, I think there are quite a lot of meetup groups in Singapore. If not physical, like virtual Discord channels, Telegrams, or even like what you guys have now is a network already. Yeah, and also research opportunities, which probably not too important. Like most CS graduates don't end up going the academia route anyway. Yeah, so I would say there are some differences, but definitely can be like the gap can be breached through like careful planning and open source. I like open source. Yeah, so some of the things I wish I knew before I graduated. So I would have done more internships. I think I kind of spent too much time doing tutoring. I like to teach classes, and I like to do my own side projects, but it's really quite different. Like some of my classmates were doing internships with Facebook and Google, and I feel like that would have been that have been good for me, and because it's also much easier to convert as an intern than to pass a fresh grad job interview, or even later on as a junior or mid-level or senior where you have to do system design. So coming as an intern, you just have to be good at code, and then I have confidence in my skills, and I would be able to get confident as an intern, I guess. And I think most people would feel the same as well. Yeah. So if you can't get internships, open source is a decent alternative, but it's very unstructured. You might not you might not find a good project to contribute to, and so it requires like careful selection, and also sometimes a bit of luck where if to find good projects that you can contribute to, that you can get value out of, and they also can get value out of you. It should be a like mutually beneficial relationship. So engineering is also much more than just coding. I think in the earlier parts of my career, I just focus on technical parts. Like my promotion was very slow at the start of my career. I literally did not get promoted at Grab, and when I joined Meta for in the first 2 years, I also did not get promoted. I think I felt I was pretty strong technically, but the problems that my team was facing, the org was facing, they were more on just technical problems. And but I focused too much on the technical aspects. The code was great, the code was clean, but they were not delivering enough value. So which wouldn't justify any promotion because you're hired to solve the problem, not write code. And writing code is just a means to an end. So I also realized that writing and communication skills are more and more important as you became senior. So these days, in fact, I would avoid writing code if I can solve a problem without writing code. Lastly, try a lot of things. So I would say I've tried quite a lot of things, but maybe I have tried too many things within the web development domain. I should have maybe tried more backend development, some distributed system, operating systems, programming languages. These are stuff that are like harder to learn outside of a school setting. And I should have, these days I'm more interested in programming languages, but it's quite hard to learn outside on your own. Yeah, so I kind of regretted not taking those classes. I took a lot of like media development, game development classes, which even now I also don't really use them. Yeah. So my advice for you all is to try a lot of things, and from there you can know what you are good at, and then you can maybe narrow down to a few things that you like and you are good at, and that would be an area you can continue working on, and yeah, keep building stuff. As a student, even now, I keep building a lot of stuff, even if my work doesn't require it, just because I'm interested, and also to keep my skills sharp. Yeah. So, and I like to tell people the harder you work, the luckier you get, and because the opportunities will come knocking your way sometimes, and if you are ready for it, that you can kind of view it as luck. Yeah, and you can take it on and achieve success. Yeah, so that's all for my sharing. So if you'd like to keep in touch with me, you can add me on LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you.
Woo! Awesome. Thanks for that, Yangshun, for that whirlwind tour of your experiences and the lessons that you learned along the way. Hope that was interesting and helpful for everyone. We'll now move into the Q&A portion. I see several of us have actually shared questions in the Slido, which I'm about to present. I'll also share the Slido link again in the chat for all of us to get on there. And I will now share my screen. Okay, so there are a number of exciting questions. So I think we're just going to jump right into it. Top voted question. Even before getting an interview, what advice would you have for career switchers in selling their past work experience within the software engineering industry? Reason being, almost all of us here from the bootcamp, we worked or studied something different before coding, and wondering how to make those past experiences valuable.
Yeah, so I think it also depends on your past work experience. But so sometimes I review resume for others, and I've encountered this kind of career switcher cases before. maybe I think one way that would work, and like if I'm a hiring manager at the company, I would this would give you an edge is to find a company that is because software engineering is very prevalent in like, every industry, right? So you can find a company that is related to the domain you have experience, you have past working experience in. So maybe you studied biomedical engineering, and so or like pharmacy. Then maybe you can look for engineering role in a similar domain, medicine or like pharmaceutical domain. And so then your past domain knowledge would give you an edge in over the other software engineers who don't have too much domain experience in for their job. So yeah, so like remember I said find your niche, right? So you look at what the skills, what skills, different skills you have, and um, and look at which companies like need that intersection of skills. So like I'll give you an example. So currently I built I'm doing GreatFrontEnd. Why did I choose to do GreatFrontEnd? Because I think some because I like front end and I have some reputation in like technical interviews. So front end and interviews is my niche here. Front end interview is my niche, and it's a small enough market that I'm confident of being like the world class in. So that's why there's a market. That's the domain I'm currently in, and maybe I can slowly expand in future. But currently, this niche would be my best bet. Yeah, that's why I'm working on. I'm working on this area right now.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing to try and apply for roles that are able to take advantage of the past experience.
Yeah.
Related to that, all many during the bootcamp, which all of us are either bootcamp students or alums here, and we work on multiple projects, just as Yangshun did during his university days, worked on multiple projects. What, yeah, how would you evaluate a good portfolio project from someone who
Mm,
has been hired on the other side of the table in hiring, especially for career switchers?
yeah. Wow. Um, so firstly, so I've been trying to hire for my company as well. So I've been looking at a lot of portfolio projects, looking at a lot of resumes. What really impressed me is what impressed me is the design. At least right off the bat. Because okay, let's face it, portfolio projects are not going to be too complex. It's usually your own homepage or maybe a simple app, a CRUD app. Anything too complex, I will start to see. I'll dive into it and see whether you wrote your code yourself, or was it like forked from a template. Because there's so many templates out there that, and like tutorials, and I think there's no point like submitting a template that or like basing off someone else starter code and without making too much changes. But what you can do is to design it such that um, to make it yours, uniquely yours. And because I'm so hiring front engineers, so something that's visually appealing to me would definitely catch my attention. And after that, I'll look at the code. I would I literally go through every commit and see the first commit. Was it like few thousand lines checked in? If it was, then okay, then it's probably from some template. But I can see the progression, and I see that you format the code nicely. You use linters, you use formatters. The directories are well organized. Then I would say, okay, yeah, this person is worth interviewing because they seem to show a lot of potential. Yeah, so these are the areas I would look out for. But this really depends on the hiring manager. So I don't have too many applicants right now. My company is very small, and big tech definitely don't have time to look at your portfolio projects. So unfortunately, this my advice would not work for like super huge hiring managers at big companies. This is probably more relevant to like smaller startups that want to be very careful about their first hires.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for sharing all those details about the the projects that we're checking into GitHub, yeah, people actually look at those. So yeah, I guess
Yeah, I
you
do
gotta.
look at them.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Related to the idea of focusing on front end, right? Some of us are interested in front end here. How does a front end engineer progress in their career? I heard that there's an invisible ceiling for front end engineers.
Yeah, I think I read that blog post as well. Um, I would say it really depends on the company. So I can tell you most of my answers to questions here would start with it depends, because it's true. A lot of things in life is really depends on the person, the scenario, circumstances they are in. So I would say, but at Facebook and Meta, or like large companies, the ceiling of front end engineers is extremely high. You can get to principal, senior staff or principal level. I know of senior staff level engineers, front end engineers, like the React team. They are staff and senior staff level, and but maybe for a small team, then it would be harder to get to like super senior levels, just doing front end. So I would recommend to like branch out a bit to also do full stack. So it does, the more specialized your skill is, I guess the more limited your options are in some sense, because you have to go for certain kind of companies where they need to hire specialists, and these are usually big companies. Like small companies usually don't need specialists. They want some generalist who's able to ship features fast enough to so that they can to get product market fit. Yeah, so at the very least, you should be able to build a full stack web app using JavaScript or TypeScript. Like I think Next.js these days, they make it much easier with server actions. You can literally write server code in within your client side code. Yeah, so be able to at least make a full stack application. This would help you a long way already. Yeah. So I've actually written a longer blog post on this similar topic on my blog. So like yangshuntay.com, you can have a look there. It's one of the I guess a few years ago, maybe 2019. Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, the your career progress really depends on the scope of your work and if you're able to solve a problem your company is facing. So if you join a company that has like does not need much front end, like I would say Grab does not need a lot of front end. That's one of the reasons I left Grab as well. The important part to Grab is mobile and backend. Yeah, but for a big company like Facebook, web is important. Why? Because they have their main revenue driver is ads, and all the publishers they will create ads using the ads manager tool, which is on the web. So web is actually super important to Facebook and Google. And what other companies value web? Those with like complex applications that can only be done on the web, like Canva, Figma. Those for these the career ceiling for front engineers is super high. Yeah. So it really depends on the company that you're going for.
Wow, yeah, thanks for that insight about that. It depends on the company and where the
Yes.
ceiling is, right? Whether they have more web products or front end type of
Yeah.
products. Yeah. Caleb actually had a follow-up question in the chat because earlier you were
Let
saying
me
that
open it.
you said you're impressed by the design of portfolio projects when you see them, and he was wondering whether it's the interactivity or the aesthetics that matters more.
I would say a little bit of both. I think it's the UX, the overall UX. Yeah, it's an overall feeling that I get out of it. Yeah, so it's both.
Caleb, did that answer your question?
I can give you some examples. Let me show you an example of a website that I was impressed by.
Oh, Caleb, you're choppy, so maybe you can just text in the chat.
Yeah, so this is one of the portfolios I've recently seen and I found really good.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the next question. which is, I think, top of mind for everyone today. Is it difficult to get an entry-level job as a software engineer nowadays? And we know it's never easy to get a job, whatever it is. But maybe if you had any tips here for those of us who are applying for these entry-level jobs.
I think I think you all would know better than myself because I'm not applying for a job these days. But I heard, yes, it's very difficult. And what advice do I have? I would say keep improving your skills, keep building, and like improving the skills that you want to be good in, maybe front end, maybe full stack, or back end, so that when the market recovers, you interview and you can straight away get a job and perform at your job. So keep yourself ready, like keep yourself warmed up all the time, and when the whistle blows, you can make a dash for the goal. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, just keep getting better. When the whistle blows, you can make a dash. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Thank you. Related to that, and this question is, on the surface, how do you feel bootcamp and CS grads compare in the workplace? Just curious, because I know there are very few bootcamp grads compared with CS grads in general. Have you had experience working with any bootcamp grads, and in general, like, where do you feel like there's opportunity for improvement and growth?
I haven't worked with bootcamp grads like closely before, but I'm not sure whether you guys heard of Sean Wang. He's I believe he's a career teacher in bootcamp, and he's probably one of the most.
Hey, hello. Oh, is it me? Wait, am I not?
Yeah, I think the connection dropped.
Oh, okay. Hey, Yangshun. Sorry, I think the audio just stopped. John Wang, he's listening. This guy turned off our audio. Yangshun's been coding for too long. His headphones must have run out of battery or something. But yeah, so just to, I think he'll join back in a second. But oh, he did join back in a second. Hey, yeah, we can hear you.
Great, sorry.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I can comment on that. I think.
You're talking about Sean Wang.
Sean Wang. He's I believe a career switcher. I'm not sure whether he went for bootcamp, but he's a very successful career switcher. He has his own. He used to be into React about, and now he's into AI.
Why do you say he's a very successful career switcher?
Because he's very influential. Yeah, he managed to grow a following on Twitter, and like start companies, etc.
What was his background? Do you remember?
I think he's in finance. Okay. He worked in finance in New York. Then I believe he went for bootcamp. Then he became a dev advocate.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Can check out the article.
Yeah, if I can just add on a little bit on this, I think they're just, I think it's difficult we get this question once in a while from our AMAs, and it's difficult to answer because there just are so many more CS grads than bootcamp grads. So it's in general, so it's just difficult to compare. And then within CS grads, there's such a diversity. Within bootcamp grads, there's such a diversity. Yeah, but I think in general, it comes down to the things Yangshun mentioned earlier, right? Which is that bootcamp grads, you learn how to build applications very quickly, but then you might be missing some of the theoretical stuff. And then whereas the CS grads, they have the theoretical stuff, they learn the practical through the internships. But then, yeah, depending on how many internships they've done or how much experience they have, then it can be different. So I think the common thread is we all just got to keep learning and keep improving all the time.
Yeah, I think the one thing that boot campers will miss out on is like the opportunities to do internships. And like the amount of internships experience you have is much fewer than CS grads because they have so many summers to do internships. Some even do like during the semester. Yeah. So try to make up for it through building your own projects, open source. I keep mentioning open source because I feel like it's really a great way to get free training and mentorship. Yeah, if you look in the right place.
Awesome. Will age be a factor when applying for entry-level jobs? Many of us here do not qualify for internships as we have prior work experience.
I'm not sure. It really depends on the company too. For me, no, it doesn't really matter. I really look at the trajectory and the growth and the potential you show rather than the age. So not for me, but I can't speak for others. Yeah.
Okay. System design questions are notoriously challenging because of their open-ended, unstructured nature. Any advice for these?
Funnily enough, I made a LinkedIn post today about system designs, and I came up with this pretty easy member framework called Radio. You can check out my LinkedIn. I think it will explain better over there. I think by using that, you would definitely feel more confident in your interview already, and then the rest is up to how much experience you have. Yeah, so I would recommend like Alex Shee's books, and trying to like think about how you design something. So I think as a student, I frequently wondered, oh, how did Facebook build this feature or this website? How did Google build this? And how would build this? And try to like, perhaps make a clone of it, at least like the most interesting features. You can do this for system design interviews questions as well. And then you can cross-check with your friends, search online how it's done. Yeah. And that should help you improve in your system design.
Yeah, good point on cloning the main features of some of these popular apps, right? And see how it compares with how they actually built it. Yeah, that's a good point. And the person that you mentioned, Alex
Xu.
Alex Xu.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's very famous. His system design content would probably be the most prominent out there right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, he also has a newsletter to follow regarding like system design.
Awesome. Startups or big tech? What's your recommendation? And
if you have a choice, I would recommend big tech. So like I actually felt maybe I should have joined big tech from the start, because for reasons of like learning. So when you're early in your career, I would say prioritize learning, having a good manager. Big tech has more processes for that, and unless you are a super independent learner and you know how to differentiate between like good and bad practices, and how to like navigate your career, grow your career, big tech is probably better. Yeah, you could be stuck at the same level for a very long time at a startup because they don't have a progression. They don't have a progression system. You might not even know that there is a like how to fight for a promotion or what are the different expectations or different levels, which was what happened to me. So yeah, big tech.
And for many of us, because there aren't as many big tech jobs, especially in Singapore, how would you recommend we navigate our career if we were to join a smaller company after we graduate from Rocket?
Sorry, can you say that? Repeat the last.
Oh, yeah, because there are fewer big tech jobs in Singapore, and so it's not as common for alumni to join big tech, especially right after they graduate. Well, how would you recommend those who are joining startups to make the most out of their, or to grow the most, or optimize for growth?
Yeah. So I would say try to choose a startup where the founders have like experience uh, in terms of like running a company um, or like software engineering and like interact with them quite a lot because the good one of the good things about and maybe and also bad thing about startup is that you work in a very small team. Things move really fast. You get to wear multiple hats and do things in a move fast, break things manner. So definitely take the chance to interact with the founders more. Yeah, and learn from the experience, their previous experiences. Yeah. If you join a company that has like young founders, then maybe that's harder to do. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. How do you get started with open source? We mentioned open source several times, and I think you
Yeah.
mentioned a few things that you contributed to. For those of us here who are keen to stand out through open source, how should we go about it?
Yeah. So if you know how to make pull requests, that's like most of the battle won already. Because I would say a lot of people struggle with Git and GitHub more than open source itself. So for a start, like look for a project that you're interested in. I would say don't choose very mature projects like React. It's so mature that, and like probably all the low hanging fruits have been taken up. Like even I would find it hard to contribute to a project like React these days. Yeah, because there's only like very hard stuff left, and this very difficult stuff would be left to the maintainers to drive and like require a lot of discussions to um, yeah. So if you try to contribute there, you might not get a reply and feel like disheartened, like waste your time. So maybe pick some simpler projects first. So my projects are open source, like Tech Interview Handbook, Friend Interview Handbook. They are open source. Make a small change, like a documentation change, contribute some content at the start. That's the easiest, I would say. Then maybe like to get yourself familiar with the pull request flow, the how you create a pull request, how you fork a repo, and how you like sync your changes with the latest from the main repo. And after you make some contributions, then you see that the maintainer will trust you more, and then maybe will ask you, oh, do you want to work on this other feature that I haven't had time to do? Maybe they're like maybe it's like adding a feature to a website. So pick stuff that is that you're comfortable with and you're also interested in. Yeah. So there
Awesome.
used to be something called Hacktoberfest. I think they still have, and people like create like good first issue tags, and you can look out for those. I think those tags still exist. Yeah, on GitHub.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Hope that answers the question. There's a question on to-do apps. I think this is one of the exercises we do as a common example. Is a fancy to-do app still worthwhile to put on portfolio?
If you make your to-do app sync with the server, I would say yes, it's great to put in a portfolio. And then you add user authentication, you add real-time sync, you add collaboration. Yeah, okay, then it's no longer simple. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So if you do all those, yes. If it's just client-side storage, then probably too common. Yeah.
So it's less about the subject of the app and it's more about the depth and the flavor that we add to it. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, and your own design. Make the UX great.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, we are approaching the end of the hour. Oh, okay. I want to ask this question because I'm biased because I do a startup, and there are a few of us here I know who are interested in startups in the future. So yeah, what kind of experiences would you try to gain from work experience if you were inclined to start a startup in the future?
I see. So definitely how the founders navigate all this uncertainty, how they structure, how they grow a team from like maybe just a founding team to 10 people to 100 people, depending on the stage of the startup you join. So yesterday I had lunch with Lucas New, who was the ex-CTO of Carousel. He was my project mate for my iOS development class, and I asked him so many questions about starting a startup because I want to grow my company or even start new companies in the future. So yeah, interact the founders. Know how to deploy a feature end to end, I guess. Because that would be the most important thing also when you build your own company, you want to launch something and sell it. Yeah.
Like Carousel, right? They built it themselves.
Yeah.
The first version, at least, in the
Yeah.
early days. Even though they didn't, or I guess Lucas took the iOS class, so
Yeah.
maybe he had some background.
Yeah, he did. He built the first iOS app, I believe.
Oh, wow. Alrighty. So there are more questions, but unfortunately, I think we need to wrap up in the interest of time. Before we go, I would just like to give Yangshun an opportunity to share any final thoughts or reflections or advice for the group.
Yeah, I would say keep building. Check out open source. These are the two best advice I can give you. No matter how the market is, doesn't stop you from improving yourself, and you focus on improving yourself by building, learning, try different things. You get better, and eventually you get somewhere.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Before we go, there are two last things. Thanks everyone for staying and listening and asking the questions. One thing is a photo. So if I could encourage everyone who's here, but maybe had your camera off, you're in the middle of something, if you could just turn on your camera for a short while for us to take a picture together. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Roji. Thanks, guys. Oh, nice. This is going to be awesome. All righty. Okay, a few more seconds in case. Thanks, Shafiq. Thanks, Daniel. Oh, man, you guys are all here, just lurking. Okay, we're going to take the picture now. Okay, you guys ready? I'm going to put Yangshun in the middle. Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow, there's fireworks. Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. And the last but not least, when you close the Zoom window later, you're going to receive a feedback form, or you're going to see a link basically to a feedback form that I'll share. If you could help us just share some quick, brief feedback on how the session went and how we can improve it for the future, we'd really appreciate that. Look forward to hosting more AMAs for everyone here in the coming year as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Without further, thanks so much, Yangshun, for everything that you shared with us today.
Thank you. Yeah. See you around. All the best.